When Abraham arrived in Canaan, promoting a Mesopotamian tradition of Enlil, he was said to have access to a uniquely inscribed tablet of ideograms. These ideograms were conceptual symbols which did not specifically translate into words, the same situation in some Chinese characters. The concept is also fundamental to tarot. Abraham's tablet was revered as the testament of a lost civilization, a testament of all that humankind had ever known, and of all that would ever be known. Sumerians called this composition the Table of Destiny. According to Lawrence Gardner, the Sumerian histories record that the guardians of the table had been Kingu, a son of Tiamat, and Tiamat's great-grandsons, Enki and Enlil. In the esoteric Jewish tradition, the table was also called the Book of Raziel, a collection of secrets cut into sapphire and inherited, at length, by King Solomon. Gardner goes on to note that, the philosophical cipher of the table became known as Ha Qabala, the QBL tradition of light and knowledge, and it was said that he who possessed Kabbalah also possessed Ram, the highest expression of cosmic knowingness. In the Jewish tradition of Ha Qabala, the female figures of Ashtoreth and Anath, being the wife and daughter of Jehovah, became merged into a single spiritual entity, an overall consort known as the Shekhina. The word was extracted from a Hebrew abstract verb meaning to dwell, and by the late 1st century AD the Shekhina, Ashtoreth, Anath, had become the mother goddess of the Jews. Rabbi Yehoshua of Sinin wrote in the 1st century that as soon as the tabernacle was erected, Exodus 36, the Shekhina descended and dwelt among them, the children of Israel. The Shekhina was deemed to be the spouse and female representative of God upon earth. Her original dwelling was the Tabernacle, the Mishkan, and her later abode was Solomon's Temple of Ashtoreth in Jerusalem. The Shekhina was a portrayal of the Holy Spirit, the epitome of wisdom, in Greek, Sophia, and in Hebrew, Hochmah. She represented Jehovah, but was opposed to him in matters of retribution, as related by the doctrines of Solomon in the book of Proverbs, for example, 24:29, "Say not, I will do unto the man as he hath done to me. I will render to the man according to his work." This is contrary to the life for a life, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth teaching of Jehovah, the same vengeful teaching expounded by Enlil in ancient Sumer, which was so despised by his sister Ninkorsog, the Shekhina archetype. The legacy of Ha Qabala dates back well beyond Adam and Eve, to whom its secrets were disclosed by Enki, Samael, and Lilith, who were jointly defined as the Tree of Knowledge. The word Kabbalah relates to tradition and to how it was obtained. It emphasizes the intuitive grasp of the absolute truth of the ancient masters, the great archons who brought forth the world out of primeval chaos. One of these archons, by whatever name, was wisdom, and wisdom, the Holy Spirit, was always female, moving on the face of the waters, as related in the 2nd verse of Genesis at the very beginning of biblical time. Wisdom was Tiamat, wisdom was Sophia, wisdom was Ashtoreth Anath, and wisdom was the Shekhina who embodied them all. The problem was that the Shekhina was said to have been lost in the great realm of the Jewish diaspora. She had lived in the Temple of Jerusalem, but the temple had been destroyed at the time of the Babylonian captivity, 586 BC. Although rebuilt, then destroyed again by Syrians and Romans, the Shekhina had never returned and Jehovah had been left to rule alone, a feat which the mystics claimed he could not accomplish without the bride who was the source of his wisdom. Having progressed through an inordinate length of time, the tenets of Ha Qabala were corrupted and confused in medieval Europe, and the emergent doctrine of the Kabbalists gained the upper hand. Their most important work was Sefer HaZohar, the Book of Splendor, close to 1,000,000 words of applied scriptural philosophy based on ancient Jewish traditions and written in a strange form of literary Aramaic. It was compiled in 1286 by Moses de Leon in Castile, Spain, and its content was attributed to the 2nd century Palestinian mystic Shimeon ben Yochai. The Zohar is a commentary on the 5 books of Moses, and along with the Bible and the Talmud it was upheld as a venerated work by a majority of Jews in the Asian, African and European countries of the diaspora for several hundred years. Malkut Ereshkigal, queen of the netherworld, dragon queen. Although not granted the right to a significant sister in the Hebrew tradition, Anath, Inanna, did indeed have an older sister in the Sumerian pantheon, and that sister was the formidable Ereshkigal, queen of the netherworld. Being the senior female in the line from Tiamat the dragon queen, Ereshkigal carried the paramount heritage of the kingdom, which the Hebrews called the Malkut. As the prevailing heiress of the Malkut, Ereshkigal was likened to a precious jewel, a pearl, a jewelua, the name of her granddaughter who became the wife of Cain. Ereshkigal's daughter Lilith was related to the tradition of the great dragon, and the dragon was the Malkut. Given that the Hebrews had ignored Ereshkigal in favor of her younger sister Anath, a technical problem arose by virtue of Anath's perceived station as the Shekhina matronate, because, in the Jewish Zohar, it was the Shekhina matronate who bore the angel Metatron, along with his sister Lilith. But in the original Sumerian tradition, Lilith was the daughter of Ereshkigal, queen of the netherworld, while her younger sister Anath had no offspring. The Metatron, from Metatum thronen, meaning nearest to the divine throne, was Lilith's father, King Nergal, Meslamtia, who, being the son of Enlil Elo Yahweh, was the counterpart of the Hebrew Canaanite Baal. Strictly speaking, Anath was not the traditional spirit of wisdom, the Sophia, for this status was the pre-Hebrew prerogative of Ereshkigal, and it was the inheritance of her daughter Lilith, whose name derived from Lilutu, Akkadian Assyrian, wind spirit. Sabbath, full moon festival to weekly day. Not only had the Zohar Jews made certain strategic adjustments to the family structure of the Mesopotamian pantheon, for example claiming Anath/Inanna as a daughter of Enlil Elohwh instead of correctly portraying her as a granddaughter, but the Jews in general had also modified the Mesopotamian festival of Shabbat. This had been the monthly feast of the full moon, but they had converted it to a weekly event, and had renamed it Sabbath. The Sabbath was not just a day of rest, it represented the sacred Shabbat, from Shabbatu, the innermost psyche of the bride of Jehovah, the Shekhina matronate. In exile since 586 BC, Shekhina matronate Shabbat was said to roam the earth awaiting her bridal reunion with Jehovah. Nevertheless, she continued to be the mother of her Israelite flock, and joined them every Friday evening at dusk to herald the Sabbath. It is at this very point of searching for the female aspect that the Talmudic tradition sits today. As we have seen, Jehovah was Yahweh, the Tetrad, 4 persons of Father, Mother, Son, and Daughter. But the bride, the inheritance of the daughter, is still lost in exile, and so the deity remains simply Yahweh. It is consequently maintained that only when reunited with his bride, the Shekhina matronate Shabbat, can God become complete as Yahweh again.